found this pattern online for a crochet mandala that makes just a square block, and I was trying to figure out how to turn it into a full blanket. I'll put a link in the description below where I got the pattern for this. But I decided to, in order to make this into a full blanket, I would just add length to the side and back and the top and bottom in order to get it to blanket size. This is the yarn that I had left over. I also threw in some gray yarn to extend it a little bit. I wanted to use the gray as kind of like a background color. And there are instructions in the description below on how I did this, a pattern for the borders that I added. But basically I just started with a row of single crochet through the back loop of the previous crochets that were already there all the way around the blanket, and then just added rows of half double crochets. Some of them I went through the back loop, some of them I just went straight into the stitch in order to give like a recessed area and then some raised areas that look kind of like knit stitches across, and you can see the different rows there in the videos I'm doing this. Once I had it to the width that I wanted, I still needed to add stuff to the top and bottom to get it to the right length though. So I decided to go for a woven mesh technique that I saw online, and I'll link that here as well, where you basically just knit a mesh. You do a double crochet, chain one into every other stitch, and then when you turn and come back the other way, you just do a half double or a double crochet, chain one into the top of each of the double crochets from before, and it makes this kind of mesh looking fabric. And you can see here I'm doing the double crochets and the chain ones into each of the previous double crochets before, so that way your stitches all line up and your chain one spaces all line up, and you get this kind of mesh looking fabric like you see here. Then all you do is cut lengths of yarn for however long you want your fringe to be. Now they need to be the length of the mesh area plus however much additional you need for the fringe. And then you just attach them to the top of each of the column of chain one spaces, and then just weave them through. And I'll show you in slower motion here how I do that. I just take 2 strands at a time, and we're going to attach them to the top of the column where the chain one spaces all line up. And I just pull it through with my crochet hook, pull up kind of a loop area, and then reach through the chain one space below, pull the yarn back up through and back up through the loop, and tighten it up to attach it. And then I just use my crochet hook to kind of fish it through each of the chain one spaces. So down one chain one space and then up the next one. And you just keep doing that all the way down till you get to the bottom of the row. And then once you reach the bottom, you simply just tie it off and it becomes your fringe, and you can trim it then to whatever length you want it to be. So overall I'm pretty pleased with how this turned out, even though it is pretty bright. It reminds me of those Lisa Frank stickers from the 90s. But I like the way the borders turned out. I especially love the woven mesh. I might even try to do an entire blanket of this at some point in time. But there you go. There's the final product.